Welcome everybody. In today's video, we're going to talk about the B11 criteria and what it means for the EHR developers, app developers, and EHR users. I'm not going to go too much into the what and the why of B11. We have already covered that in a couple of our blogs. We will put the links to those blogs in the description below. I'm going to focus more on the how of B11 and specifically how we are implementing it in MeldRx to meet those criteria. I do want to address one question that we are hearing a lot from our customers, and that is about comparing G10 with B11. The G10 criteria requires that EHR developers make the data available to patients where the patients can use them through apps of their choice. The B11 criteria is around the EHR developers making the data available to clinicians or EHR users, where the EHR users can then use that data through apps of their choice, specifically the AI apps. B11 does not actually require or specify that it has to use FHIR, but that is what we are using at MeldRx, and that's what we expect most of the implementers to be using. So I'm going to divide the demo into 3 steps to help you better understand the B11 requirements. In step 1, I will show you how an EHR can enable an app developer to come and publish their apps into the App Store so that it is available to the EHR users. In step 2, we will show how an EHR user with the right permissions can then go search those apps and add those apps to their instance so that they are available to all the clinicians and other EHR users in their organization. And then step 3 is going to be where we will show how an EHR user can launch that app while using that EHR. The last part of this stuff, while using the EHR, is very important criteria of B11. In the FHIR world, this basically means something like an EHR launch and a CDS hooks. And it basically means that you cannot use a standalone app. If you're not familiar with what is a standalone app and an EHR launch and a CDS hooks, we actually did a video on that topic too. We'll put a link to that in the description below too. I will be actually using a standalone app to start the demo, and then I will be using the same app to show the EHR launch flow so that you will be able to understand what exactly are the differences between a standalone app and what does basically B11 criteria requires. So let's just go jump into the demo. I'm using our Smart App Launcher here. This is a tool that we have built to allow developers to test connectivity to FHIR APIs. I will be launching this as a standalone app connected to Epic. So let me go ahead and quickly do that. So I am now connected to Epic and I can see the data for a patient that I selected. This is just a test app. The scenario we are playing in here is that this could be an AI app that recommends some tasks based on an AI algorithm after looking through the patient's data that is all being displayed here. The content of the app is really not important here. What is important here is that you saw that when I launched this app, it was from outside the EHR and I had to select a patient. I'm going to use the same app to launch as an EHR launch from a test EHR as well as an Epic EHR to show how this app can then be made to align with the B11 requirements. So with that, let's move to the step 1 to show how an app developer can publish this app to make it available to organizations using an EHR. So I am now in the developer portal. This is the developer portal that could be provided by the EHR where any app developers can come and register their apps. So you can see that, I'm logged in as a developer right now and I have a number of apps that I have built. And this is that particular app that I just saw from a standalone launch. What I'm going to do is typically I would be coming in there and managing my app, but in order to make this app available to the organizations, I'm going to actually go and click on the publish button. And when I click on that button, it brings me to a number of options where I can manage the different properties of these apps that will be available to anyone searching for apps in the App Store. There are some obviously basic properties of the app. I can enable or disable the app. But then the key points that we are kind of talking about here is the EHR integration and the DSI options. So from an EHR integration, I as a developer can specify that this app is available as an EHR launch or as a CDS hook or both. And again, if I'm specifying EHR launch, which we will be doing in this case, I specify the URL of that particular app. And then from a DSI perspective, I can specify that this is a predictive DSI or an evidence-based DSI. And depending on which option I choose, I have to provide certain source attributes that will be available to anyone trying to add that app to their organization or use that app. So that's pretty much from a app developer's perspective, what they need to basically do. So again, the idea here is that this is the app developer that is making this app available to the EHR users. So now I'm going to switch context and I'm going to go into a context of a user or a user of the EHR. So I'm just basically going to go in here and say that, let's just say I am a organization user at Good Health. So what you're looking at right now is, you can think of this as like the EHR. So we're using a mock EHR in here that we have built on top of our Fire APIs for testing. And I'm going to go to a tab that is called as EHR apps in here. So again, every EHR might have a different way to display this. The important thing here is that I can basically go in there and then I have an option there to search for apps. And then when I go and click on the search apps there, it's going to give me a list of apps that have been published by app developers in the store. So this is again the context of a user in the organization that has the right permissions to provision these apps, to add these apps and make it available to all users in that organization. One of the requirements that is required as part of B11 is that as I am searching for these apps, I am able to actually view the same details that were published by that app developer. Again, these are referred to as source attributes. So me as an organization user can actually review all those properties before I add that app and make it available to my organization users. And if I'm okay with it, I can go ahead and click add. I have already added a couple of apps in there, and this is kind of where the second part of the requirement comes in there, is that there are certain users of the organization that will be able to search and add those apps. But once those apps are added, all the users of the organization can still go and review those details, and they can also basically make edits too. So the key component here from step 2 of what we were talking about here is that the organization has basically gone in there and searched for the app and then made that app available, added that app to their configuration and made that app now available to users of their EHRs. So that was basically step 1 of an app developer publishing an app. Step 2, an user of the organization of that EHR with the right permissions going and configuring that app and making that app available to the users. Now the final step is basically how do the users of that organization will be able to use this app while using the EHR. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the patients tab in here, and again, just think of this as an EHR. Everything that I'm showing in here is available through APIs that can be integrated into any EHR. I'm showing a list of the patients. I'm going to just select a particular patient and it will bring me to a screen that is a patient chart. This will obviously look different in every EHR. The key thing here again is that depending on the apps that I had configured, I am now going to see some buttons in there which allow me to launch that app from within the patient chart. So these are the 2 apps that I had configured, and what I can do from here is I can just click on that button in there and it is now going to go and launch the same app that we were looking at before. But as you notice in here, in this case, this app was launched from within the EHR and basically it has the patient selected. I still have all the same functionality available, but the idea here is that this app is launched while I'm using the EHR, and then again, all of the content, all of the other things have basically become available to me in the app itself. Okay, so that was a overview of how an EHR that is using MeldRx APIs can meet the B11 requirements following the 3 steps of making the app developer publish their apps and then an organization users to be able to add those apps and then use it. Our B11 plug and play solution is not limited to EHRs that are using our FHIR APIs. It can also work with other FHIR APIs. And to show that, I'm actually going to show you how we can use the same functionality from Epic EHR. So I'm going to go to the documentation page of Epic FHIR APIs. This is one of the pages where they actually show how you can do an EHR launch from Epic. Obviously, Epic will not be pulling from our API, so there's a different steps of how you configure an EHR app in Epic, and it is very well documented in here. But what is really nice in here is that Epic actually makes a testing tool available in here from where you can test how to launch an app using the EHR launch. And that's what we will be using. And to make this testing really simple, what we have done is, if I can go back to our app, I'm going to actually switch my context to an Epic sandbox that we are connected in here and go to that same tab, which is where I've listed the apps that I've connected with Epic. In this case, it's the same set of apps. And I can just copy my EHR launch URL from here, which is what I need basically to paste it in here, which will then, launch the same app from Epic using EHR launch URL. So I'm just going to go click and launch in here. And this time you will see basically that I have launched that app from within Epic. I did not have to log into Epic, and I had the patient that was selected in that demo screen has been selected, and now I have the same functionality that we saw at the start from a standalone app available from an EHR launch from Epic. Hopefully that gives you an overview of how B11 requirements can be met using EHR launch. We will be doing a follow-up video showing how we are also using CDS hooks to meet some of these requirements. We are currently working with many of our EHR partners to work on the usability requirements around B11. So there might be some changes to the UI based on the feedback we receive. If you are an EHR that is interested in our solution, please contact us. If you are an app developer that is building an AI app, we would love to talk to you how we can help you get connected to multiple EHRs. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching.